The sound of shattering glass cut through the loud music like a knife. A beer bottle slipped from someone's hand and smashed near the entrance just as Lucas Harrington pushed open the door of the Copper Lantern. His bar, his pride, his first ever business. He froze, stunned, not because of the bottle, but because of what followed. "Hey, watch where you're walking, old clothes!" A bartender barked at the man near the door. Lucas's jaw tightened as he stood there, dressed in faded jeans, a sagging hoodie, and dusty sneakers. The disguise he deliberately chose. Nobody recognized him. It had to be that way. Tonight, he wasn't Lucas Harrington, the millionaire owner. Tonight, he was just a broke guy walking into a place that should have treated everyone the same. Instead, he saw the truth unravel immediately. The bartender, Rick, didn't even try to hide the disgust in his voice as he glared at the customer who dropped the bottle. The man apologized softly, bending down to pick up the broken pieces. But Rick shoved him aside and said, "Just leave it, man. You probably can't afford another drink anyway." Lucas felt something twist inside his chest. This was exactly what he feared. The reviews weren't lying. His staff were treating people badly, and they didn't even know he was standing right there watching. He took a slow breath, reminding himself why he was here. No security guards, no business suit, no one calling him sir. Just him. Just the truth. He stepped forward, and immediately, 3 different people bumped into him without apology. Someone even said, "Move, bro. You're blocking the walkway." Lucas muttered, "Sorry." Even though they were the ones who ran into him, he wasn't here to argue. He was here to observe. He made his way to an empty table in the corner. The wood was sticky. A napkin from someone else's meal clung to his sleeve. He brushed it off and sighed. So this is what customers were dealing with now. This bar used to be spotless. He remembered scrubbing tables himself when he first opened the place, proud that he could build something from nothing. Now it felt like strangers had taken over his dream and turned it into a place he barely recognized. A waitress with a bright red ponytail stormed across the floor. She was tall, sharp-featured, and had the expression of someone constantly irritated by the world. This had to be Maria, the one mentioned in multiple reviews. She stopped at a table near Lucas. 2 guys dressed in designer jackets, and her whole demeanor changed. She smiled, leaned closer, flirted just enough to earn a big tip. Lucas watched carefully. The men ordered 2 expensive cocktails, and Maria hurried off to handle their drinks cheerfully. Then her smile vanished the moment she stepped away from them. She noticed Lucas sitting alone in the corner. Her eyes narrowed. Here we go, he thought. She walked toward him, shoulders stiff, lips pursed. When she reached his table, she didn't greet him. She didn't even pretend. "What do you want?" she snapped. Lucas kept his voice calm. Can I see a menu, please?" She scoffed. "You sit down before you're ready to order? People are waiting for tables. Come on." His eyebrows lifted. "I just wanted to." No, she cut in. "If you're not ordering now, I need this table. We're full tonight." Lucas glanced around. The bar wasn't even at capacity. Several empty chairs stood near the back. But he didn't argue. He simply held her gaze for a long second. "Okay," he said softly. "I can order now." Maria crossed her arms. "Good. Make it quick." He swallowed the ache of disappointment in his chest. Just a soda, please." She tilted her head. "Soda? Seriously? It's what I want." "You sure it's not what you can afford?" she said loudly. Couple nearby laughed. Lucas's face heated. Not out of embarrassment, but out of heartbreak. This place, his place, had become a stage for humiliation. "I'll bring your soda," she muttered and walked away. Lucas leaned back in the chair, trying to breathe through the frustration boiling inside him. He wanted to stand up and reveal everything. He wanted to shout, "I built this place. How dare you talk to people like this?" But he held back. He needed to see everything. He needed the full picture. Not just for discipline, but for a complete overhaul. While Maria was gone, a second waitress passed by, young, nervous, clutching a tray too tightly. Her name tag read Nora. She paused when she saw him. Hi. Are you okay? You look like, you seem uncomfortable. Her voice was gentle, genuine. Lucas forced a small smile. I'm all right. Just a rough day. Oh, she said softly. I'm sorry. Can I get you anything? Water, maybe? While you wait. That'd be nice, he said. She hurried off, returning in seconds with a clean glass of water. She placed it on the table with care, like she actually saw him as a person. If you need anything, Nora whispered, just wave at me. I know Maria can be, well, she's having a long week. Lucas nodded. Thank you. You're welcome. As she walked away, he exhaled slowly. At least someone here had heart. When Maria returned with his soda, she slammed it down so hard it spilled over the rim. There, she said. $2. Lucas reached into his pocket, pulling out some change he purposely brought to look authentic. As he counted, she impatiently tapped her foot. Hurry up. Some of us have real customers to attend to. He looked up at her. Why are you speaking to me like this? Like what? She shot back. Like I'm beneath you. Maria laughed. If the shoe fits. Lucas stared at her, the disguise hiding the heat of his anger. Customer service is part of your job. And what are you going to do about it? Write a complaint on Yelp? She mocked. Please. Nobody reads those. Lucas nodded slowly, almost sadly. You'd be surprised. She rolled her eyes. Are you done? I have tables to serve. He paid quietly, then watched her walk away like she hadn't just tossed his dignity on the floor. Every part of him wanted to leave, but he knew the night wasn't over, because he hadn't seen enough, because the story didn't end with humiliation, it started with it, and because tomorrow morning, everything was going to change. The night grew louder, the crowd thickened, laughter and music blended with clinking glasses while Lucas remained seated in the corner, watching everything like an outsider in his own home. It stung more than he expected. Back when he first opened the copper lantern, he knew every customer by name. He used to walk around, greet people, wipe down tables, ask them how their day was. There was warmth in the air then, warmth he cultivated with pride. Now all he felt was coldness disguised as hospitality. At that moment, Rick the bartender stepped out from behind the counter with a towel over his shoulder and walked toward Lucas. Rick wore a smirk that irritated Lucas instantly. Maria tells me you're giving her a hard time, Rick said, leaning on the edge of the table. Lucas raised an eyebrow. All I did was order a soda. Yeah, Rick chuckled. But you look like you can barely afford a bus ride home. She thought you were being difficult. I asked for a menu, Lucas replied calmly. Rick shrugged. Look, man, we get certain types of people in here. People who sit for hours, order nothing, and scare paying customers away. So forgive us for checking. Lucas looked him dead in the eye. You judged me before I said a word. Rick scoffed. Dude, relax. You're not some king. You're just another customer. Lucas smiled slightly. You're right. I am just another customer. And we treat customers the way they... Rick! A soft voice interrupted. It was Nora again. She stood behind him, frowning. Why are you bothering him? She asked. Rick turned sharply. I'm not bothering him. I'm doing my job. That's not your job, Nora shot back. Your job is behind the bar. Leave him alone. Rick glared at her. Nora, you've worked here for 2 weeks. Don't tell me how to do my job. Nora didn't back down. I'm just saying. If someone comes in here, treat them like a human being. Rick let out a mocking laugh. You're too soft. People will walk all over you. Kindness isn't weakness, she said quietly. Lucas felt something spark in his chest at the innocence in her voice. Rick eventually stormed off, muttering something about rookies. Nora turned back to Lucas. I'm really sorry about him. About everything. It's okay, Lucas murmured, though it wasn't. Nora hesitated. Can I sit for a moment? It's slow on my section. Lucas nodded, and she sat across from him. Something Maria would never do. I noticed you didn't look happy when you walked in, Nora said. Then Maria treated you badly, and Rick, she sighed. I know I'm new here, but this isn't how things should be. How do you think it should be? Lucas asked gently. She looked surprised that he cared to ask. Well, people come in here with different lives, different struggles, she said softly. Some are tired from work. Some feel lonely. Some want a place to relax. Everyone deserves to be treated like they matter. Lucas watched her carefully. Do you like working here? Nora bit her lip. Honestly, I don't know anymore. I took this job because I need the money. My mom's been sick, and hospital bills aren't kind. But the atmosphere here, it gets heavy sometimes. The way Maria speaks to customers. The way Rick treats staff. She shook her head. It's like everyone forgot we're dealing with people. Something thickened in Lucas's throat. This girl, this trainee, saw everything clearly. She saw what he couldn't from his office. She saw the decline long before he did. Have you talked to management? He asked. Nora laughed bitterly. Management? They don't care. The last manager quit. Now Maria practically runs the place. Nobody challenges her. Lucas stiffened. So that's why things were spiraling. He hadn't appointed a new manager yet, thinking the team could hold things together until next month. He was wrong. Thank you, Lucas said quietly. For what? Nora asked. For being kind. Nora flushed a little, embarrassed. I don't know. I just treat people how I want someone to treat my mom. Lucas smiled. That's a good rule. Before Nora could respond, Maria appeared like a storm cloud. Nora, why are you sitting? You have tables. Nora jumped up. I don't care, Maria barked. Move. Lucas clenched his jaw. She wasn't doing anything wrong. Maria shot him a glare. Sir, with all due respect, stay out of staff operations. Nora, go. Nora whispered, sorry, and hurried away. Maria then leaned down, lowering her voice. Look, I don't know why you think this is a cafe where you can chat, but this is a business. Don't distract my team. Your team, Lucas repeated. Yes, I practically run this place, Maria boasted. The owner? He's never here. Probably sitting in some mansion drinking champagne while we hold the place down. Lucas's lips twitched. Is that what you think? I know it, she said proudly. That's why I make the rules. Now if you're done with your little soda, I need this table. Lucas exhaled slowly. I'm not finished. Well, hurry. You're not exactly a high-value customer. He stared at her, something dark burning beneath his calm exterior. I see, he said quietly. Thank you for your honesty. Maria huffed and walked off, tossing her ponytail dramatically. Lucas remained still, processing the situation. His heart was pounding, not with embarrassment anymore, but with clarity. This place had lost its soul. He sat another 15 minutes, watching Maria treat well-dressed customers like royalty while brushing off anyone who looked ordinary. Rick kept flirting with a group of women while ignoring people waiting at the bar. 2 customers left after being ignored for 10 minutes. Nora tried her best, juggling trays, apologizing to angry customers, keeping calm even when people snapped at her. She was the only glue holding the night together, and nobody saw it but him. Lucas finally stood, pulling his hood over his head. As he walked to the exit, Nora rushed over. Are you leaving? Yeah, he said softly. I'm sorry you didn't have a good time. I did, he said gently. Because I met you. She blinked, surprised. He added, things will change here. Very soon. Nora frowned. What do you mean? You'll see, he whispered. Then he walked out into the cold night air, his hands shaking. Not from anger, but from the storm he knew he was about to unleash tomorrow. This bar was going to remember who built it, and everyone inside would learn exactly who they had underestimated. The cold air outside felt sharper than usual as Lucas walked toward his car. His breath fogged in front of him, but his mind burned with clarity. He sat behind the wheel, resting his head against the steering wheel for a moment, letting the silence swallow him whole. He whispered, How did it get this bad? He knew the answer. The moment he stepped back from day-to-day operations, the culture slipped through the cracks. He trusted the wrong people. And now, customers were paying the price. He started the engine but didn't drive. He just sat there, replaying moments. Maria's smugness, Rick's condescension, Nora's exhausted smile. Every piece of it struck him like needles. He finally drove away, but the anger followed him home. When Lucas reached his penthouse, he changed into comfortable clothes and paced across the living room. The city lights outside glowed softly, but they didn't calm him. Not tonight. His phone buzzed. It was Dylan, his longtime friend and business partner. "How'd it go?" Dylan asked immediately. Lucas clenched his jaw. "Worse than the reviews said." "That bad?" "You have no idea," Lucas said, sinking into a chair. "They're not rude, they're cruel. They judge people before they even walk in." Dylan sighed. "I knew something was off, but I didn't know it was that deep." Lucas rubbed his forehead. "Maria thinks she runs the place. Rick's a ticking bomb, and everyone follows their lead." "And the customers? Only the ones wearing gold chains get decent service," Lucas said bitterly. "If you look broke, they treat you like trash." Dylan cursed under his breath. "So, what's the plan?" Lucas looked out the window, expression hardening. "Tomorrow morning we're going in. No disguises. No warnings." Dylan was quiet for a long moment. "You sure?" "Positive. This ends tomorrow." "What about the good ones? Anyone worth keeping?" Lucas's voice softened. "Yeah, one. Name? Nora. New girl, right?" "Yeah. And the only one who remembered what humanity looks like." Dylan chuckled softly. "You sound dramatic." "Wait till you see what I saw," Lucas murmured. "You'll understand." They talked a bit more, dissecting everything, planning the next morning. When the call ended, Lucas leaned back and closed his eyes. His mind drifted back to Nora's words. Kindness isn't weakness. He didn't sleep much that night. His alarm rang early. He showered, dressed in a crisp black suit, slipped on his watch, and walked out of his penthouse with a singular intention: to take back his bar. When he arrived outside the Copper Lantern, Dylan was already waiting, dressed sharply as well. "You look like you're about to fire half the world," Dylan joked. "Maybe I am," Lucas said, pushing open the door. The staff weren't expecting a morning visit. Maria was wiping down tables with her usual annoyed expression. Rick was half asleep behind the bar, sipping coffee. Two other staff members were lazily chatting by the jukebox. Nora wasn't there yet. The moment Lucas walked in, silence spread like wildfire. Maria blinked, confused. Rick choked on his coffee. Lucas walked with purpose, every step shaking the ground under their confidence. Maria forced a smile. "Good morning, sir. We didn't expect." "Stop," Lucas said calmly. Maria's smile died instantly. Rick straightened, trying to fix his wrinkled shirt. "Everyone in front of the bar," Lucas said, not raising his voice but commanding every inch of the room. The employees glanced at each other nervously, then gathered. Maria folded her arms proudly, thinking she could talk her way out of anything. Rick looked like he was rehearsing excuses in his mind. The other two were simply confused. Dylan leaned against the wall, arms crossed, letting Lucas take the lead. Lucas looked each of them in the eyes one by one. "Last night," he began slowly, "I came in here." Maria blinked rapidly. You came in last night?" "Yes." "In disguise?" "Yes." Rick's mouth dropped. One of the other waiters whispered, "Oh crap." Lucas continued, "I came in here dressed like someone who didn't have much, someone you assumed didn't matter." Maria immediately jumped in. "Sir, if I had known it was you." "And that," Lucas said sharply, "is the problem." She froze. "The way you treat people shouldn't change based on what you think their bank account looks like." Rick stepped forward nervously. "Sir, it's not like that. Sometimes we get troublemakers. We just..." "Don't lie to me," Lucas said quietly. "I watched everything." Rick swallowed hard. Lucas focused on Maria. You humiliated me. Loudly. Twice. Maria's face flushed red. You told me I wasn't a real customer. You mocked my drink order. You told me to hurry up because I wasn't high value enough for your table. Maria stammered. Sir, I was stressed. I didn't mean. You meant every word, Lucas said. Because that's how you talk to anyone who doesn't wear luxury clothes. Maria opened her mouth again, but Lucas held up his hand. Don't. It's done. The room felt like it shrank. As of this moment. Lucas paused and Maria held her breath. You're fired. Maria's mouth fell open. Sir. And oh wait. Please. This job is my livelihood. You should have thought about that before stripping people of their dignity, Lucas said coldly. This bar is not a place for power trips. It's a place for service. Tears filled her eyes. Sir, I can change, please. Lucas shook his head. I gave this place too many chances. You used my absence to play queen. Now you face the consequences. Maria let out a sob as she backed away, then ran out the door. Rick looked terrified. Lucas turned to him next. As for you, Lucas said, your treatment of customers and your disrespect toward your coworkers is unacceptable. Rick swallowed. Sir, I'm sorry. You're suspended for 2 weeks, Lucas said. When you come back, you'll be retrained. If you show even a hint of your old behavior, you're gone. Rick looked like he might faint, but he nodded quickly. Why, yes, sir. Absolutely, sir. The other employees stood frozen. And now, Lucas said, we rebuild. At that moment, the door opened quietly. Nora walked in, tying her apron, unaware of what she was walking into. She stopped dead when she saw everyone gathered. What's going on? She whispered. Lucas turned toward her, and Nora had no idea her life was about to change. Rick's shout sliced through the air like a blade. Back off from her, all right? She's busy. And frankly, you don't look like someone who can even pay for what you ordered. A burst of muffled laughter came from a nearby table. Lucas turned his head slightly and saw 2 customers grinning, whispering to each other. A heat flared in his chest. Not from embarrassment, but from the disbelief that this was happening inside his establishment. Maria smirked as she crossed her arms. See? Even Rick thinks you're being dramatic. Just be grateful I'm even talking to you. Lucas stared at her. I didn't ask for gratitude. I asked for service. Rick took a step closer, puffing out his chest. And I said she's busy. If you've got a problem, go to another bar. Simple. Lucas paused. For a moment, the entire bar felt strangely quiet, though the music still pulsed and glasses still clinked. It was the silence inside him that was growing. Heavy, cold, focused. I'll figure things out, he said evenly, though his jaw tightened so hard he could feel the strain in his neck. And then he slowly walked away, not because he was backing down, but because the weight of everything he had just seen and heard required distance. Controlled distance. As he turned, the snickers behind him grew louder. Someone muttered, probably doesn't even have $10. Another said, classic. People like him always come here wanting attention. Lucas didn't turn around. He wouldn't give them that satisfaction. But every word burned like a cigarette pressed against skin. He headed toward a corner of the bar, far from the noise. He slipped into a booth, letting the shadows hide his expression. His hands were trembling, not from humiliation, but from the realization that this wasn't a minor issue. It was a rot inside his business. Something deeply wrong. A soft voice interrupted his spiraling thoughts. Hey! Sorry about earlier. Lucas looked up. Nora. She stood beside his booth, holding a glass of water and a small plate with a fresh pretzel twist. Her brows were knitted together, concern coloring her expression in a way that struck him as genuine. He blinked. You're apologizing? For what? For how they treated you, she said. That shouldn't have happened. And I shouldn't have let Maria talk to you that way. I'm sorry. She placed the glass down gently. Here. You looked like you needed this. Lucas's throat tightened. Not from shame but from sudden, unexpected warmth. He nodded slowly. Thank you. You didn't have to do this. Maybe not, she replied. But I wanted to. Rick watched from across the bar with narrowed eyes, muttering something to Maria. She rolled her eyes and waved him off. Nora shifted awkwardly. Just letting you know, if you still want to order something, I can take care of it. No pressure. Lucas studied her. In a sea of arrogance and indifference, she was an island of decency. I appreciate that, he said softly. Really? She smiled, and it was like a small light in a darkened room. Just as she turned to leave, Maria shouted across the room, Nora! Stop wasting time on that one. He's not worth it. The bar erupted again with snickers. Nora's shoulders tensed, but she didn't turn back. She whispered, Ignore her, then walked away. Lucas let out a long, slow breath, his eyes following her until she disappeared behind the bar. He had come here expecting problems, but not this level of cruelty. And certainly not in the presence of someone like Nora, who somehow managed to treat him like a human being rather than a stain on their floor. His chest felt unexpectedly heavy. He sat there for another 10 minutes, sipping the water, replaying every word Maria spit at him, every insult, every gesture dripping with contempt. Eventually he rose from the booth and headed toward the exit. As he reached the door, he took one last look around the bar. The neon lights glowed, the music thumped, and the staff moved about like nothing was wrong. No one noticed him leaving. No one except Nora. She spotted him as he reached for the door and hurried over. Hey, are you leaving already? He hesitated. Yeah, I think I've seen enough for tonight. She frowned. I'm sorry, really. If I could change how this place works, I would. He offered a small, genuine smile. Maybe someday you will. She didn't understand the meaning beneath the words, but she smiled back anyway. And then, without another word, he stepped out into the cool night air. The moment the door closed behind him, his entire demeanor changed. His back straightened, his eyes sharpened, his breath steadied. He took out his phone and called Dylan. The manager answered immediately. Lucas? Everything okay? Lucas's voice was calm. Too calm. Tomorrow morning, we'll be having a staff meeting. Oh? What happened? What did you find out? Lucas's jaw tightened again at the memory of Maria's mocking laugh. Everything, he said. I found out everything. Dylan sucked in a breath. Oh. Be in by 8, Lucas instructed. And make sure every employee is present. No excuses. You got it. Lucas ended the call and slipped the phone into his pocket. Then he inhaled the crisp air slowly before walking toward his car, his mind already building the scene for tomorrow. The reveal, the confrontation, the consequences. As he drove home, his chest pulsed with a strange mix of anger and anticipation. And yet, beneath all that, the soft memory of Nora offering him water lingered like a quiet reminder that not all was lost inside his bar. But for Maria and Rick, tomorrow would be a reckoning. Back home, Lucas stood in front of his mirror, removing the fake beard and glasses, revealing the sharp features that had graced business magazines for the past few years. He looked nothing like the quiet, broke stranger they had mocked. He looked like what he truly was, the owner, the millionaire, the man they would face in the morning. He set his disguise aside, loosening the tension in his shoulders. And as he prepared for bed, his final thought before sleep was a quiet, simmering promise. Tomorrow, they'll learn exactly who they judged. As he drifted off, he almost smiled. Almost, because tomorrow wasn't about revenge. It was about justice. And justice was long overdue. Morning sunlight spilled across the polished floors of the copper lantern as Lucas stepped inside. No disguise, no hesitation. The bar, mostly quiet in the early hour, echoed faintly with the sounds of chairs being arranged and glasses being set. The staff hadn't yet seen him, though they would soon. Dylan hurried toward him, adjusting his tie nervously. Lucas, good morning. Lucas nodded once. Are they all here? Every one of them. Maria's complaining. Rick's, well, Rick. And Nora. She seems confused but calm. Lucas paused. Good. Let's get started. As they walked toward the back of the bar where the meeting area was set up, staff voices trickled through the door. Maria, predictably, was the loudest. "This better be quick," she huffed. "I've got things to do. Probably some stupid policy change again." Rick snorted. "Bet it's about the new drink menu. Or Dylan messing something up." Nora's voice, soft but firm, cut through. "Can you both stop complaining? We're at work. Show some respect." Maria scoffed loudly. "Respect? For what? These meetings never matter. And honestly, the bar is fine the way it is. People like me are what keep it running. Not rules." Lucas exchanged a knowing glance with Dylan, who paled. He stepped inside. The moment the staff saw him, the room shifted. A beat of silence passed. Then Maria blinked rapidly. Who's that?" Nora stood, her eyes widening in recognition. "It's you," she whispered. "From last night." Rick frowned. "Wait. What's going on?" Lucas didn't speak right away. Instead, he walked slowly to the center of the room, every step precise, every movement steady. He let them absorb his presence, his expensive suit, his confident stride, the authority in his posture. Then he faced them fully. "Good morning." Some murmured responses. Others avoided eye contact. Maria stared, confused and irritated. Dylan cleared his throat. "Everyone. This is Lucas Harrington." Maria blinked again. "Okay, Anne?" Rick folded his arms. "Never heard of him." Nora gasped softly. "Wait!" She covered her mouth. "Harrington? The Harrington. Who?" Lucas held up a hand, silencing the room. "I'm the owner of the Copper Lantern." The room froze. Maria's jaw unhinged. Rick's face drained of color. The other staff members stiffened. And Nora. She simply stared at him with wide, stunned eyes. Lucas let the silence linger before he spoke again. "And last night, I was here." His voice was calm, so controlled it almost felt cold. "Sitting at that bar, asking for service. Watching how you treat customers when you believe no one important is watching." Rick swallowed hard. Wait. That was you." Maria's face flushed red. No way. That can't be." "Oh, it was," Lucas said evenly. And every word, every gesture, every insult was noted. Maria's lips trembled. "But I didn't know you were." Lucas cut her off. "That is exactly the problem." The room remained painfully still. He stepped closer to Maria, but not threateningly. Just enough for his words to reach her unfiltered. "You mocked me. You laughed at me. You refused to take my order. And you humiliated me in front of customers." Maria blinked back tears. I thought. "You thought I was beneath you," Lucas finished. "You thought I wasn't worth basic respect." Rick stepped forward shakily. "Sir, I think there's a misunderstanding." Lucas turned to him sharply. "Don't lie." Rick froze. "I heard every word you said to Maria. I heard how you called me dramatic, how you joined her in mocking me, how you encouraged others to laugh." Rick tried again. "But you also watched customers laugh at another human being, and you did nothing to stop them. In fact, you helped." Rick had no response. Maria folded into herself. "Sir, please, I can explain." Lucas raised a brow. "Explain why you insulted a customer who asked for service? Explain why you treated someone poorly simply because you assumed they had no money." She shook her head wildly. "I was stressed. We were busy. I was tired. No excuse," Lucas stated. "If you treat one customer like trash, you can treat any customer like trash. And that means this business is at risk. My business. And what about the reviews?" he added. "The sudden drop these past months? I thought something was off. Now I know." Maria's body stiffened. That was something she couldn't talk her way out of. He turned to the entire team. "This is not a place where people can insult customers. This is not a place where employees get to pick who deserves respect. This bar was built to be accessible, welcoming, and safe." His voice shifted, deepened. "And what I saw last night was the exact opposite." Maria broke. She stepped forward and fell to her knees before him, voice cracking. "Sir, I'm begging you. Don't fire me. I need this job. I was having a bad night, I swear." "I didn't know." Lucas raised a hand. "Stand up." She obeyed, trembling. "Your behavior wasn't a one-time mistake. I watched you interact with others too. You were rude, dismissive, condescending." Maria looked to the others for support. No one spoke. "And it isn't just about money," Lucas continued calmly. "If I were truly broke, would I still not deserve basic kindness?" Maria's tears spilled. "Please, I'll do better. Promise. Just don't." "You're fired." Her cry echoed against the walls. She covered her mouth, sobbing. The other staff members looked away, some uncomfortable, some relieved, some silently agreeing that this was overdue. Rick swallowed. "And me?" Lucas met his gaze. "You encouraged the behavior. You enforced it. You normalized it." He paused. "You're suspended for 3 weeks without pay. One more incident. Just one, and you're gone." Rick nodded shakily. "Why, yes, sir. I understand." Then Lucas turned toward Nora. She stood still, fingers clasped tightly, her face unsure. She seemed to brace herself, worried she'd done something wrong. Lucas took a slow breath and softened slightly. "And you?" Nora swallowed. "Sir, I tried to help. I wanted." "You did help," he said. "You were the only one who treated me like a human being." Her lips parted, eyes brimming with shock. "You apologized for their behavior. You offered me water. You offered kindness without knowing who I was." Nora blinked rapidly. I just thought you needed someone to be decent." Lucas nodded. "Which is exactly why I'm promoting you." A gasp went through the room. "Starting today, you're the new assistant manager." Nora covered her mouth, stunned. "Me? Are you sure?" "Absolutely," Lucas said with a warm nod. "This bar needs people who care. People who have empathy, not ego. And you showed me what this place should represent." Tears filled her eyes, but they were from gratitude, not fear. Maria let out a quiet sob as reality sank in. Lucas stepped back, clasping his hands behind him. "This bar is going to change," he said to the entire team. "New rules, new culture, zero tolerance for disrespect. We will rebuild the Copper Lantern into something better. Starting now." The staff nodded silently. And to everyone watching this, his gaze locked with the camera inside his mind, the audience following each moment. "Remember, respect is free, but losing it can cost everything." He didn't say more. The room understood. And the true transformation of the Copper Lantern had only just begun. The room stayed frozen even after Lucas finished speaking. The weight of everything he'd revealed hung heavy in the air, thicker than the morning stillness, sharper than any reprimand they had ever received. It wasn't just authority. It wasn't even anger. It was disappointment, and disappointment from an owner. Quiet, controlled, and deeply felt. Carried a sting far worse than raised voices ever could. Maria stood trembling, wiping her tears with shaking hands. She wasn't dramatic anymore. All the arrogance, all the dismissive confidence she wore like armor, had fallen apart completely. Rick sat stiffly, staring straight ahead. "Hurry!" she cried. The guard in front punched the access code. The door clicked. They shoved it open and rolled the gurney inside. The guard behind them entered last and slammed the door shut with a force that made the frame shake. He locked the deadbolt. Then all 3 of them stood still, panting. Grace pressed her back against the door, trying to calm her breathing. "This can't go on," she whispered. "He's hunting us." Dr. Renault wiped sweat from his forehead. "The police are searching every floor. They'll find him." Grace shook her head. "They won't. He's done this before. He knows how to blend in. He knows how to disappear." One of the guards walked to the trauma wing window and peeked outside. "Emergency lights only. Whole wing is dark." Grace leaned over Edward. His breathing was shallow. Too shallow. Panic tightened her throat. "Dr. Renault," his chest. The doctor hurried over. "He's weakening." His adrenaline levels must be crashing after all this stress. Grace whispered, "We need to keep him awake, or at least stable." Dr. Renaud nodded. "I'll prepare a temporary stimulant." Grace held Edward's hand again, rubbing her thumb gently against his skin. "Edward, please. Please don't slip away now. You're so close." A tear slid down her cheek before she could stop it. Suddenly, a soft knock tapped against the trauma wing door behind her. Grace froze. Everyone turned. 3 taps. Slow. Deliberate. "No," Grace whispered. The guard approached the door cautiously. "Who is it?" No reply. The guard looked at Grace. "It's probably staff, someone trapped." Grace shook her head violently. No, don't open it." The guard hesitated, but protocol made him call out again, "Identify yourself." Silence. Then, a quiet voice came through the door. "Let me in, please. Help me." It was a woman's voice, fragile, trembling, sounding like a terrified nurse. Dr. Renaud whispered, "That could be one of our nurses." Dylan's eyes lifted, relief softening his expression. Footsteps sounded behind them. They turned to see Nora, standing hesitantly in the doorway. She looked unsure whether she should come closer. Lucas motioned her forward. "It's all right. Come in." She walked slowly, clasping her hands together, eyes flickering to Dylan and then back to Lucas. "Is everything okay?" she asked hesitantly. Lucas nodded. "Yes, I just needed space to think." She swallowed. "I didn't want to intrude. I only came because I wanted to thank you for the promotion, for believing in me." Her voice wavered slightly. Lucas softened. "You earned it, Nora. You were the only one who treated me with kindness when you didn't know who I was." She let out a small breath. "I just try to be good to people. It's not really something I think about. I just don't like seeing someone alone or uncomfortable." Lucas studied her for a moment. "And that is why you're going to help me rebuild this place." Her eyes widened. "Me? Yes, you." She blinked rapidly. I don't even know where to start." Lucas exchanged a glance with Dylan. "We're going to start small, step by step. New training, new expectations, new customer service standards. And you'll help enforce them." Nora looked terrified and excited all at once. "I'll do my best." Lucas smiled faintly. "Your best will be more than enough." Before she could respond, Maria appeared in the doorway. Her eyes were red, her face streaked with tears, and her hands trembled violently. She looked like someone who had lost not just her job, but her identity. "Sir, please," she choked out. "Can I speak with you?" Lucas turned, expression unreadable. "Go ahead." She stepped forward, voice breaking. "I know I screwed up. I know what I did was wrong. But please, I need this job. I don't have family here. I don't have savings. This job is all I have." Lucas let her speak, but his face didn't soften. Maria wiped her tears desperately. "I promise I'll change. I'll do better. I'll treat every customer like they're—" "Maria," Lucas interrupted gently, "it's not about whether you can change in the future. It's about the pattern of behavior you've shown for months." She sobbed harder. "I know, but you bullied customers. You made people uncomfortable. You misused your position. And worst of all, you dragged others into that same culture." Maria shook her head violently. No, sir, Nora was scared of correcting you," Lucas added. Maria froze. Her eyes traveled toward Nora, filled with guilt and regret. "She was afraid of you," Lucas continued. "Other staff were too. That is not leadership. That is not professionalism. And it is not something I can allow here." Maria broke again, but this time more quietly, like she understood there was truly no more room to argue. "I'm sorry," she whispered, "for everything." Lucas nodded respectfully. "I hope you take this experience and grow from it. Truly. But your time at the Copper Lantern is over." She lowered her head, defeated. "I understand." With trembling steps, she left the bar, her sobs fading into the hallway. Nora swallowed hard, emotion tightening her throat. That was difficult to watch. Lucas nodded. Accountability often is. He turned back to her. But this is where the real work begins. Are you ready for the responsibility ahead? Nora squared her shoulders, visibly nervous but determined. Yes, she said. I'm ready. Lucas smiled faintly. Good. Because we're about to transform this place completely. Dylan clapped his hands together. All right, new beginning, new standards, new culture. Lucas turned toward the bar, imagining its future. Lively, respectful, warm. Place worth being proud of again. Behind him, Nora asked softly, "Do you really think people can change?" Lucas paused. "Yes," he said, "when they want to, and when they're shown why they need to." Nora nodded thoughtfully. Lucas looked ahead again. "And now we show them." Over the next week, the copper lantern transformed in ways no one saw coming. The morning after the meeting, Lucas arrived early. Earlier than everyone except Nora, who was already wiping down tables and organizing the new customer service manuals he'd ordered overnight. She looked up when she heard him come in. "Morning," she said with a shy smile. "Morning," he replied, and for the first time in a long while, he felt proud walking into his own bar. Rick arrived shortly after, head hung low but posture determined. He didn't say much during the training sessions, but he listened. Really listened. Maybe fear had woken him up, or maybe seeing Maria fall so hard had shaken something loose inside him. Either way, he was trying. And Lucas noticed. The other staff members followed suit, adjusting to the new expectations with surprising ease. There were awkward moments, stiff exchanges, and lingering tension from the shock of what happened. But progress was progress. On the third day of training, a customer walked in grumbling about a drink being too watered down. The old staff would have rolled their eyes or blamed the customer. But Rick approached with a polite smile and said, "Let me fix that for you right away." Even smiled a little. Lucas watched from across the room. It wasn't perfect, but it was something, and he couldn't help feeling a quiet flicker of hope. By the end of the first week, the atmosphere inside the copper lantern was already different. Warmer, easier, more human. Customers lingered longer, laughed more genuinely, and for the first time in months, Lucas saw real smiles on his employees' faces. Not forced ones, but real ones. But the biggest change was Nora. She grew into her new role with a confidence that surprised even herself. She organized schedules, mediated minor disputes, managed inventory, and still found time to check in with staff emotionally. She gently corrected behavior, encouraged kindness, and created a sense of unity Lucas had been missing for years. One evening after closing, Lucas found her sitting at the bar, staring at a stack of papers with a tired but satisfied smile. He approached and sat beside her. "You did well today," he said. Nora laughed softly. "Thank you, but I still feel like I'm winging half of this." "That's leadership," Lucas replied with a smirk. "If you're not winging something, you're not doing it right." She giggled, covering her mouth. "Honestly, I never imagined I'd be in a position like this. I thought I'd be a waitress forever." He tilted his head slightly. "Why?" Nora shrugged. "People like me don't usually get big breaks. I don't have a fancy degree, no connections. I don't stand out. I'm just normal." Lucas leaned in a little. Sometimes the best leaders aren't the people who stand out. They're the ones who stay, the ones who choose compassion even when no one's watching. She looked up at him, eyes soft. "You really believe that?" "I do," he said. She exhaled slowly. "Well, thank you for giving me the chance." "You earned it," he repeated. The bar lights dimmed gently in the background, casting warm shadows across the polished wood. For a moment, everything felt peaceful, balanced. Then Nora asked something unexpected. "Do you ever regret it?" Lucas blinked. "Regret what?" "Coming in disguised as someone else." He thought about this. The humiliation, the laughter, the sting of being dismissed so carelessly, the anger he fought to control, the shock of discovering how deep the rot had spread. But he also remembered something else. The kindness Nora showed him without hesitation. He shook his head. No, I don't regret it. Why not? Because it revealed the truth, he said. Not just about the bar, but about people. And about the kind of leader I need to be. Nora absorbed that slowly. You're a good owner, Lucas, she whispered. He chuckled. I'm trying to be. And you're succeeding. Her voice was soft. So soft he almost missed the warmth tucked inside it. The days that followed were even smoother. New customers came. Old customers returned. Reviews improved. Word spread. And the bar began to regain the reputation it had once proudly held. One Saturday evening, one of their busiest nights, Lucas stood near the entrance watching the room come alive with cheerful noise. The staff moved with coordinated ease, greeting customers with genuine warmth. For the first time in months, the place felt alive again. Nora approached him, clipboard in hand. We're packed tonight. Might hit record numbers. Lucas smiled. I can see that. You should be proud, she said. I am, he replied. Of all of you. She glanced around. The team respects you. Even Rick. He's still awkward, but he's trying. Lucas nodded. Trying matters. And Maria? Nora asked quietly. Lucas paused. I hope she's okay. Losing a job hurts. But sometimes pain pushes growth. Nora nodded thoughtfully. I hope she grows from this. They stood together in silence, watching their bar glow under warm lights and fuller hearts. But later that night, as the bar reached its loudest, most energetic peak, something unexpected happened. A group of customers walked in loud, entitled, acting like they owned the place. One snapped his fingers aggressively at Nora. Hey, you, water, now. Rick stiffened behind the bar. Lucas watched closely, muscles tensing. Nora walked over calmly. I'd be happy to get your water, but please don't snap at me or any of the staff. We'll serve you, but we won't be disrespected. The customer blinked, stunned. Rick burst into a nervous grin, whispering under his breath, Dang, she really said that. Nora continued calmly, Would you like sparkling or still? The customer blinked again, then lowered his hand sheepishly. Still. No problem. She smiled warmly and walked off. Lucas couldn't help the slow smile spreading across his face. She had learned. The whole bar had learned. And suddenly he felt it. Pride swelling in his chest, quiet and steady like a heartbeat. Later, when they closed up for the night, Nora stopped him at the door. You know, she said softly, I think pretending to be broke was the best thing you ever did. Lucas chuckled. Maybe it was. Sometimes, she continued, you have to lose everything to see what really matters. He nodded. And sometimes people need to see a customer as a person, not a number. Nora offered a genuine smile. Thank you for believing in me, for believing in us. Lucas held her gaze. Thank you for showing me the bar wasn't lost. They stood there for a moment, letting the silence speak. And then she laughed lightly. Well, I guess this is where you say something inspirational and business owner why. He grinned. I'll save that for tomorrow. Tonight, I'm just grateful. As he walked out into the cool night, he turned back slightly. And hey, if anyone watching this enjoyed the story, he added with a playful lift of his brows, imagining the audience hanging on to every word. Don't forget to subscribe, like the video, and drop a comment. Trust me, there's a lot more coming. Nora laughed behind him. Smooth. Always, he replied. The door closed behind him. The copper lantern glowed warmly through the glass. A bar reborn. A team transformed. A future no longer uncertain. And Lucas walked into the night knowing one truth clearly. Respect costs nothing. But kindness changes everything.